morning and welcome out to Escondido, California. Today we're going to be doing a trail up to the top of Stanley Peak in an area called the Daley Ranch. Daley Ranch is an old farming, ranching area that dates way back into the 1800s, and it's been turned over to the city of Escondido, and now they have a great hiking trail here. It's a lot of wilderness areas. There's quite a few hiking trails around here, and we're going to take a trail. It's about 7.5 mile loop. We're going to go up the Sage Trail in the East Ridge, and we're going to do a loop up to the top of Stanley Peak out here in Escondido, California at the Daley Ranch. So we got to see some interesting things today. Weather's absolutely perfect. It's the second day of January here in 2024, and hopefully we'll get some great views today. It's a crystal clear sky. Temperature is going to be about 60, so it's a little on the cool side. Anyway, stick around. Follow me up the trail to the top of Stanley Peak here at Daley Ranch. It's going to be a gorgeous day today. There's a lot of people here. There must be 30 cars at the trailhead. Well, I'm just a short ways up the trail. In fact, way off in the distance over there, you can see the trailhead parking lot. And the trail just basically works its way up so far down to this creek crossing and works its way up the slope. We're going to eventually be heading that way. I was going to take the trail clockwise. I was going to start left, work my way up toward the Daley Ranch, the ranch buildings, and work my way around to the right and eventually get to the top of Stanley Peak, and then loop back around down this side. But what I noticed was, first thing, every single person, 25, 30 people, they all went this way. Second thing I noticed is right down at the bottom of the trail over there, there was a sign for the Daley Ranch, and the path to get to the Daley Ranch was a paved road. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this way. It looks like it might be a little steeper because it looks like we've already lost a little bit of elevation. We've gained some, lost some already. We'll work our way up to the top of Stanley Peak, and then we'll go counterclockwise past the Daley Ranch. And I think that will give me just a little more time to kind of hang out at the ranch and explore a little bit before I get back to the car. So anyway, it should be a good day. And I just can't believe the number of people here. They opened at 8, and there were already 20, 30 cars in the parking lot, another 10 on the road. So, and about 15 women have already passed me on the trail as I stopped to shoot video. So it's going to take a little effort to find a quiet spot to shoot, but I'll do my best. In the meantime, I'm going to be heading up that way toward the top of Stanley Peak. You know, as I'm working my way up the trail, I had some things I got to share with you. I've been in a kind of a little streak of bad luck about a little over a month ago while putting up the Christmas lights. Actually, before the Christmas lights went up, I was up in the rafters and I was, trying to go from joist to joist, and I slipped on a joist and I landed hard on a sharp edge of a 2x4 and I cracked my rib, so I had a broken rib. That's healing. It's not too bad. But I've also got, I had this growth on my leg down here, kind of around, just above my kneecap. And I was getting concerned. I went to the doctor, referred me to a dermatologist. It's a skin cancer. It's a type of skin cancer. It's not a melanoma. It's a squamous cell. But it's something I had to deal with. So they had to go in, and about 3 weeks ago, they cut a big chunk of my leg out, and I got 10 stitches in my leg. And that's not even the bad part. The bad part was when we got back from Joshua Tree. In fact, that exact night we got back from Joshua Tree, I dislocated my right shoulder. And I've dislocated this shoulder probably 20, 30 times over the last 30 years. And normally whenever I dislocate it, it's from a reach or a stretch, but it's the shoulder socket, the rotator cuff, and all the muscles that hold your humerus bone into the socket. The ligaments are so stressed out and so stretched and torn that it's always been a weak spot for me. And this time it fell out while I was asleep in bed. And that's when you know you're getting old, when you get injuries while you're sleeping. I guess I was laying in bed. I must have had my arm behind my head. And I woke up and it was completely dislocated. It had been out a while, maybe a half hour. I had no feeling in my right arm. It was numb, a little bit of tingling. I ran around the living room, broke out into a cold sweat. Ended up trying to get it back into the socket. Eventually I did get it back in, but it's right now it's trashed. So I went to the doctor. He referred me to an orthopedic surgeon. I've had an MRI and a CT scan, and most likely I'm going to need surgery. I probably needed it 30 years ago and 20 years ago and 10 years ago. I've needed it this whole time, but I've been kind of just making do. But I think now, since I'm retired, I have the time and I have the medical coverage for it. Maybe now is the time to get it done, but I'm not sure yet because I haven't got the results of the MRI yet. But in the meantime, my shoulder's still weak, and I bought a bunch of KT tape, and I had my wife tape up my shoulder really good, so it actually feels pretty good today. As long as I don't slip and slide and fall, I should be good. But anyway, Lake Dixon is over that direction. When we came up to the trail, we went left up the trail up to Daley Ranch, and if we would have went right, we would have went down into Lake Dixon, which is a really good fishing lake. I got to go there one of these times and try it out. In the meantime, it's heating up already. I don't think we're going to see any wildlife today. It's a little late in the morning. There are bobcats and mountain lions and coyotes up here. There's a ton of snakes up here, and I don't think we're going to see any of those today. But you never know. We might see a snake. It's nice and warm, so and it's early in the winter, so maybe they're not holed up hibernating for the winter. Maybe if we get lucky, we'll see one sitting out in the trail catching some rays. We'll see. In the meantime, I got to keep going. I got a long way to go today, about 7.5 miles up the trail to the top of Stanley Peak. I got to have some great views when I get up there. Well, anyway, we'll catch up with you in a few minutes. Well, this looks like a nice little resting area. We're gonna look at the top of this rise. Looks like they've got some radio equipment up here as well. Nice bench. Good place for a break, I guess. That big metal box probably has equipment for the solar array. And looks like our trail continues down the slope. And way off in the distance back there, that is Stanley Peak. There's a water tower that's downhill from there, and I can see it from here, but the trail looks like it's going to go to the right. And it's going to work its way down through this valley and then back around to the left on the other side of this ridge, I'm assuming. And then head up that direction right there. Guess we'll take a look at the map to make sure we're going the right way. And we'll continue on to Stanley Peak. Well, that over there in the distance is Stanley Peak. That's our destination for today. We're working our way up from the left side to the left of the water tower and then up to the top. Should be some great views up there. Nice crystal clear day. Now I saw this on the map. I was planning on taking a peek at this on the way back, but since we're going the opposite way, I might as well do it on the way out. There's a small pond over here. So as long as I don't have to go through too much mud, let's go check it out. Looks like there's a little bit of water left in it still. Not a lot. Looks like there's a couple of ducks. It's like a mallard. It's like a male and a female swimming around over there. There's not much left of this pond. Looks like it could sure use some additional rainfall this season. Well, it looks like there's a little better view of the lovely couple, the mallard, male and female. There's also some other, I think that's a coot right there, the one with the white beak. To look that up when I get home. There's a pair of those too as well. Be a nice watering hole. I'm sure there's plenty of game that come down to this pond to drink. And I was going to go down there and walk around, look for tracks, but it was so muddy I was sinking in, and I thought, nah, I don't feel like it today, so I don't want to get stuck in the mud, so keep going. Well, I worked my way up to the sub-peak, and I wasn't intending on coming up here, but I saw a little use trail through the brush, and I thought, there's got to be a reason people are coming up here, and sure enough, it's got a great view looking down toward Escondido. We're actually looking almost due south from here, and from here, you can see some peaks way off in the distance. That peak over there, way off in the distance, that's Mount Woodson. So if you ever want to go to Potato Chip Rock, that's Mount Woodson. It's got all the radio antennas up over there. And over here to the right, I don't know if you can get that in the view of the camera, there's two peaks. One on the right is Double Peak Park, which is over San Marcos, above Cal State San Marcos, where my kids went to school. And just to the left, there's two more little sub-peaks. That's the one on the right. That's Mount Whitney, the one in San Marcos. And the one to the, actually the one to the left is Mount Whitney. And the one on the right is Frank's Peak. And I've done both of those peaks as well. And then looking due west is the Pacific Ocean. So how cool is that? Got a great view down here below. So I'm kind of glad I took an extra few minutes to come up here to this spot to check this out. You can hear something going on over there. I don't know if that's a mine of some kind or what, but I can see smoke and dirt coming up, and I can hear pounding, and like they've got something going on up there. And we've got some trail runners heading down the trail behind me. But boy, what a great view from here. Well, there's the water tower, and Stanley Peak is to the right. Looks like my trail is going to work its way left. But check out that rock over there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. How cool is that? I got to figure out a way to get over there. Check that out. Hopefully there's like a use trail down to it. Well, there's some of the people that have hiked up to the top of Stanley Peak. It's like a group of 6 working their way down the trail. You know, as those people are hiking down the trail, I kind of moved off to the side, to the top of this rock right here. And I just come up here and kind of hang out, take in the view. And you never know what you'll run into along the trail. Check this out. Is that a tank? Well, I got a nice view of this little meadow here. And way off in the distance is, I believe that's Black Mountain. It's way off in the distance there between those two little sub-peaks. But I just zoomed in with my phone to show you that rock over there. I'm gonna see if I can work my way down to it. This is a cool little meadow though. And I think if you were to see a deer or a bobcat or a coyote, this would be a good spot for them. Maybe we'll get lucky as I work my way around to the right and then back around to the left. I'll get another 15 minutes here with the view of this meadow. Maybe I'll be able to see some wildlife. That'd be cool. In the meantime, I gotta keep going this way for a little bit at least, because there's the water tower. I'm gonna be working my way sort of near the water tower. There's actually a use trail that goes down to the water tower, and there's actually even some history to the water tower as well. It was all part of the Daley Ranch, and there's some writing on it that I want to see if I can get a close-up picture of. It's an R and a B, but the R is backward. And supposedly the story is it was not originally at this location. It was the cattle brand for Rancho Bernardo, which is an unincorporated area. I think it's unincorporated, just to the south of us here. And years back, they thought they were going to develop all this land into a housing tract. And that was going to be one of the feature points of the housing tract, was the big Rancho Bernardo sign and the water tower. So anyway, they never did it, thank God, and now it's a wilderness area, but the water tower still remains. Well, I'm not too far from the peak, and I do have some climbing I have to do, but not too bad. And I have to admit, this has been actually a really nice trail. The grade has been great. And I bet it gets hot here in the summertime, but in the third week of winter, conditions have been great. Well, you know, as I'm working my way up to the top of Stanley Peak, there's some nice meadows that I've went through already, and some shaded areas like this that are really super nice. It's nice to be in the shade a little bit. It's nice and cool. There's another sign down here. Turn to the right for Stanley Peak. All right, this is the final push to the top of Stanley, it looks like. They are making me pay for it. This is a steep section here. There are some people perched on a rock over there. They're looking up to the south and west, probably trying to see if they get a glimpse of the ocean. But I gotta hump this hill here. I get up to the top. 5 minutes. All right, well, we made it up the top of Stanley Peak. We ran into these two lovely ladies that have done quite the hike to get up the top of Stanley Peak, Lorena and Diana. And where are you guys from?
Escondido.
Escondido. Looks like they do quite a bit of hiking. They were familiar with a lot of the peaks and a lot of the trails and areas that I've been to. So now I got them to subscribe to my channel, and it sounds like they've done a lot of the trails I've already done, and they're going to be doing a lot more here in the near future. So it was nice meeting them on the trail, and hope you guys have a great hike on the way out. Well, I made it up to the top of Stanley Peak, and that's a view of the 78 as it works its way toward Valley Center. And to the right, that's the, it looks like probably the 15, I'm assuming, heading up and over down towards San Diego, and Mount Woodson off in the distance, North Peak, Palomar. Martinez Mountain was over this way, I discovered, based on the sign. There were a pair of, either they were very large red hawks or they were golden eagles. I really couldn't tell. I'll have to wait till I get home and get a close-up look. Run into a couple of ladies here, Diana and Lorena, who are really sweet, and we talked about hiking and all the different trails we've been on. Sounds like they've done quite a bit in their time on the trail. Anyway, I'm going to take a break up here for a little bit and then get caught up on my hydration, and then I want to head down from the top of Stanley Peak. Well, I'm going to take a minute or two and sign in on the summit register here. January 2nd, 2024. It was funny, I was looking at some of the old entries, and one of them I thought was pretty funny. They said there was a waterfall here. I'm very disappointed. There's no waterfall here on this trail. But there is a tremendous view, and there's some giant birds that are soaring right overhead. In fact, a mountain biker just came up here, circled around, and headed back down. So they do come up here. It's a tough climb. Well, this is the view from the top of Stanley Peak. I'm looking, I guess, south and east. That's the Palomar Range right there. And then over off to the right, you'll see a mountain with a bunch of rocks on it, kind of a brownish peak. That's Rodriguez Mountain. And just in front of that, to the left, is the other Rodriguez Mountain. And that's right above Hellhole Canyon Preserve. I've been there, and that's a really tough hike to the top. And North Peak is off to the far right, and that's I believe that's probably Interstate 8, not positive, as it heads east. That could actually be not Interstate 8, that could actually be the 78 maybe, I'm not really sure. I have to look that one up when I get home. What I wanted to show you is the water tower from this angle, because you can see on the side of the water tower there's an R and a B, and the R is backward, almost like they were dyslexic. That's the brand, the cattle brand from the Rancho Bernardo, or the Bernardo Ranch, that owned this land back in the late 1800s and the 1900s, till it was eventually all sold off in segments. Anyway, I've reached the water tower, so we're going to take a little tour around the water tower and then work our way back over to the Daley Ranch. Yeah, you can also see the RB on this side. This is the southwest side of the tower as well. The old Rancho Bernardo cattle brand. Well, I just passed a trail split back there, and the Sage Trail, which is the one I came up on, veers off, it goes that way. We're going to go this way. This is heading toward, hopefully, if my map reading is correct, the Daley Ranch. That's Stanley Peak in the background with the water tower. That's where I just was about 15 minutes ago. So now I'm working my way back a little farther to the east on another loop. Hopefully be back to the car in, I don't know, an hour or so, and then I'll also be able to see the Daley Ranch. Well, this is the Mallard Pond that's on the map. Significantly larger than the other little pond that I came across earlier. There's any fish in there? I bet there is. I've only seen 2 people on this trail so far. Probably more likely I'll run into some as I get closer to the ranch. Well, I reached the Daley Ranch. Some old outbuildings here. This isn't actually the ranch homestead itself. These are just outbuildings associated with the ranch. So they were utility buildings. Daley Ranch was a thriving business. Oh, in fact, there goes a coyote right there, running up the trail. I'm sure there's quite a few of those over here. He's looking at me. He's probably looking for rabbits. Keep going. Now this part of the ranch says that this place is closed, so we're not allowed to cross the bridge here. It says for our safety. It looks like it's in various stages of decomposition, so I can understand that. We're gonna keep going. Well, this is most likely probably the original ranch home. The other one that we saw, the big, nice, fancy one, that's private residence. So I don't know how that one was built, but this one is definitely old, the old chimney. And the inside has been gutted and it's closed to the public. There's not anything really left inside here anymore. We'll take a peek here real quick. Check out the fireplace. That's pretty cool. Along with not so cool graffiti. Look at the ceiling. Well, here's another view of the, what looks like an old ranch home on the Daley Ranch. Look at that old fireplace. And the rest of the trail from here on out looks like it's paved, which is kind of a bummer, but it is a nice ranch home back over there. Way back should be pretty quick, I would think. Maybe we'll get lucky. I did see a coyote. Maybe we'll see some more wildlife on the way out. You never know. Well, I'm almost down the hill here on the trip out to Stanley Peak along the Sage and Stanley Peak Loop here in the Daley Ranch, Escondido. And this last section from the ranch house back down to the car is paved. I think that's because they probably have interpretive classes and stuff held at the ranch, and so they make it easy for people to get to it. And I understand that. But, you know, as far as the hike goes, you know, I guess it's nice that I'm finishing on the paved section because it's downhill all the way, and the grade's a little steep and I can make good time going down, you know what I mean? Anyway, it's been a good adventure. There's some big homes back in the distance here. There's one up here on the top of the hill. It's massive. And some pretty good views up there. Luckily today it wasn't real hot, so that was in my favor for sure. There's a little bit of a breeze, which was helpful. I didn't see a lot of wildlife. I did see a coyote. And this paved section of trail is definitely more set up for older folks and children. We saw a couple of people with babies and little ones in strollers, and probably 15 kids under 7 I've seen so far. So this is the start of the trail right here. This is where I made the right and went up the trail, and I'm going to be heading to the right back to the car. Well, what did you think about my trip out to the Daley Ranch out in Escondido? It was a pretty good trip. I went up the Sage Trail toward the top of Stanley Peak, and did a loop around the backside, went by the Daley Ranch, and then back to the car. It was a loop of about, it almost ended up being about 10 miles because I did a little bit of extra wandering around down at the ranch site and a little bit of wandering around out by the top of Stanley Peak. But it was a really good trip. It's a really pretty area, and there's lots of trails to explore at the Daley Ranch. So I'm thinking about maybe making another trip back out there pretty soon. When I was at the top, I ran into a couple of real sweet gals at the summit, and they told me about the boulder loop and that there were some really neat boulders up there. And I did pass the trailhead turnoff off the main trail coming back from the Daley Ranch home to the boulder trail. So I don't know, I might give that a shot. I don't know, we'll see. There's a couple of other things that have kind of piqued my interest recently. Black Mountain. I've never been to the top of Black Mountain. It's not a real big peak. It's kind of in the suburbs of, I guess it's Escondido. It looks like it's got some great views out toward the ocean and to the east overlooking Escondido. There are some radio equipment towers on top, so it looks like it might be a fire road hike. And from what I was reading on the trip reports, it looked like it was very, very rocky. So we'll see. We'll see if I end up doing that. Whale Peak is also on my list out in Anza Borrego, and if I'm going to do Whale Peak, I got to do it while it's cool. So maybe in the next month or two, I'll be heading out to Whale Peak at Anza Borrego. The other thing I wanted to tell you about, have you ever been to a Buc-ee's? Buc-ee's is a really cool truck stop, if for lack of a better word for it. They have quite a few of them. Most of them are in Texas. There are some down south, and I think they're putting a new one in Colorado. It is the largest truck stop I've ever seen in my life. When I drove Katie all the way down to Florida when she moved, we went into the one in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and I could not believe the size of Buc-ee's. It just blew me away. And I actually shot some video inside Buc-ee's while we loaded up with food and beverage, and we got some treats. I bought this Cuphead Buc-ee's, and if you haven't searched Buc-ee's out on the internet, you'd be surprised how big a Buc-ee's is. I hope they put a Buc-ee's out here in California. You know, I bet the best place to put a Buc-ee's would be somewhere between Las Vegas and Baker. That would be awesome. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Hiking Journal, my trip out to the Daley Ranch and Stanley Peak. And if you have any questions or comments about this or any other edition of the journal, feel free to leave me a note on the website or send me an email at anthonysaudiojournal@yahoo.com. Or post a note underneath one of the videos. So anyway, be sure and click the subscribe button and make sure you click the like button so I get a little bit more notification. And this way more people will be able to see the channel. And hopefully they enjoy watching the videos as much as I do making them. Well, anyway, take care, and I'll see you down the trail. Bye-bye. Pulling a helicopter.
It's a Marine Corps helicopter.
Now remember, this is just a gas station. This isn't a Costco.
It's the size of a Walmart.
It's just a gas station. And the whole perimeter is filled with charging stations over there. You heard they got neat gifts here. Remember, there's 2 rows of gas pumps.
Yeah.
There's this row.
I'm going to go through this one and we'll go to gas pump number 225.
Alright, this is the inside the Buc-ee's. Remember, this is just a gas station. People with shopping carts. Oh, I can really smell the beef brisket sandwiches. I kind of lost track of Katie. I don't know where Katie went. Katie's around here somewhere. Oh, there she is. I already got me a Buc-ee's patch and a Buc-ee's cup. Oh, let's see if it's over here. Oh, there's Columbia stuff. Alabama is also be all the sporting section. Hey, these sporting goods? Oh, look. They got California squid for sale. All the way out here. Alright, well, we're still inside the gas station, inside the Buc-ee's. Look at the candy, the fudge. Marble fudge. They're making it all right there. Alright, we're still in the gas station. This is the pulled pork sandwich station. Beef brisket. Alright, they got banana pudding cups. I'm going to get one of those too.